So, over the past few weeks, the DC news continues to get crazier by the day, with Zack Snyder posting up DCEU images on his social media accounts. He's been posting up Superman, Batman, Jared Leto's Joker, Deathstroke. He even posted up an image of the actress who is destined to play Catwoman in the DCEU. But I feel, guys, as hyped as I am and as hyped as you are about the SnyderVerse, I feel that we need to be the adults in the room, we need to take a breath, and we need to have a grown-up conversation about both sides of the issue and about what's going on here with the SnyderVerse. So, in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 reasons as to why the SnyderVerse won't be restored, and then we'll take a look at 5 reasons why it will be restored. So, with that down, let's get into it, and let's start checking out these reasons. Okay, so up first, commitment to the new DCU under Gunn and Safran. Warner Brothers has heavily invested in a rebooted universe starting with 2025's Superman film, and restoring the SnyderVerse would undermine this fresh direction and confuse audiences. Absolutely, I mean, the financial effort that they've gone to invest all these hundreds of millions of dollars into this brand new DC universe. They got Superman, Supergirl, they got Clayface, they got their HBO Green Lantern show coming up, and they've got other plans going forward, Man of Tomorrow as well, that kind of Superman sequel. So they've got all these movies and projects in the works that they've spent time and effort developing, and they wouldn't want to undermine that by having Zack Snyder's Justice League hanging in the background, overshadowing their projects, splitting the fan base's attention as well, and it just wouldn't be beneficial to them trying to reboot this new universe. Okay, so with that, let's move on to our next reason as to why the SnyderVerse won't be restored. There's no guarantee from potential buyers. Even if Netflix acquires Warner Brothers, executives like David Ellison have stated that they would retain the creative teams, Gunn and Safran, the CEOs of DC Studios, prioritizing stability over fan-driven revivals. So, even if Warner Brothers gets bought out by another company, whether it's Paramount, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Netflix, it's more than likely going to be the case that DC Studios as an entity is going to be kept intact, and James Gunn's new DC universe is going to continue on its trajectory as if it was normal, operating normally, but it's just going to be owned by another company. So everything's going to remain in place, nothing's going to change. They're not going to oust James Gunn, they're probably just going to keep DC Studios running as it has been, and basically the DCU will continue under James Gunn and Peter Safran like it already has been. Okay, moving on to number 3. Studio reluctant to admit past errors, reviving Snyder's vision could be seen as validating fan pressure over internal decisions, opening the door to endless demands and eroding executive authority, as highlighted in long-standing industry analysis. So yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? If you start caving in to fan pressure about every little thing, then ultimately you're going to be ousting the decisions that your executives are making behind the scenes. There's no point in having people in, authoritative positions if every time the fans want something or they campaign for something when it comes to DC, you're just going to cave into that pressure. You'll never be able to plan out a proper universe because you'll just cave to everything that they want. So that's a big reason why the SnyderVerse won't happen, because they're not going to cave into the fan pressure, and they're ultimately going to want to make their own decisions rather than have the fan base make the decisions for them. So that's a big point about, they don't want to make the SnyderVerse, and they're not going to do it just because there's a loud minority on the internet asking for it. Okay, moving on to point number 4 as to why the SnyderVerse won't happen. Zack Snyder's shifted focus. The director has publicly stated, "It's not my call," and has moved on to other Netflix projects like Rebel Moon. Obviously, the Rebel Moon films have already come out, and they were pretty disastrous for Zack Snyder. They did not go down well with the audience. They weren't kindly looked upon, put it that way. I had fun with them. I don't think they were the best films ever, but I had fun with them. With reports indicating that everybody involved has let go of the SnyderVerse. Yeah, so it seems like behind the scenes, everyone's it's in their rearview mirror. Everyone's kind of over it. They moved on to other things. They've probably got full busy schedules for the next few years. So even if we got, indication that the SnyderVerse was going to make a return, getting everyone back who was involved is going to take years to line up all those schedules. And I mean, people, I think they're just over it, and they kind of just want to move on to other things, and they want to disassociate themselves with it. So that's kind of a major spanner in the works. That people are just kind of over it. As sad as that sounds, as a fan, that to hear that these people who worked on it are kind of over it and moved on, we kind of have to accept that fact in some way. Okay, and moving on to the fifth and final reason as to why the SnyderVerse won't be restored. Risk of fan-base division and market saturation. Splitting resources between competing DC visions could alienate broader audiences and dilute box office potential, especially with superhero fatigue amid a crowded 2025-2026 slate. I mean, this is the big thing, isn't it? Superhero fatigue. A lot of people say it's a myth that it doesn't exist. It's just the fact that we're getting bad films. If you have superhero films that are good, they still make money. And to a point, that is absolutely true. I mean, we have Avengers Doomsday coming up. That movie's going to generate over $1 billion in its sleep easily. So, but that's kind of a one-off special event, I guess. But I mean, to a point, there is superhero fatigue. People are a little bit tired of the same cookie-cutter type of movies that we've been seeing now since the early 2000s. But anyway, getting back to this point, risk of fan-base division and market saturation. That's exactly the point. Think about it, right? When it comes to DC, we already have two concurrent universes running opposite each other. We have Matt Reeves' grounded Batman universe with Robert Pattinson. That's its own universe. Then we have James Gunn's DCU rebooted universe. So that's two different cinematic universes running side by side. They're not going to then add a third one and have Zack Snyder's Justice League universe running as well. That would be three different DC universes running at the same time. I mean, it would be confusing to the everyday audience member who watches these films, who isn't up to date with what's connected and what isn't. Also splitting the fan base, the toxic fandom that comes with that divide of splitting the fan base, splitting the profits. I mean, there's so many different things, but having three different universes running at the same time is not going to be good for DC Studios. It's just not. No way that you split it. It's not going to be good. So that's kind of our fifth and final reason as to why the SnyderVerse won't happen. Kind of splitting the fan base and the market saturation of all of those DC universes just competing against each other and cannibalizing. It just wouldn't be helpful. It wouldn't be profitable from a business standpoint. And ultimately, no one would come out winning in that situation. Okay, with that down, with the negativity out of the way, let's move on to our favorite part, and let's start talking about 5 positive reasons as to why the SnyderVerse could be restored. Ongoing corporate upheaval at Warner Bros. Discovery. With rumours of a potential sale to Netflix or a merger with Paramount in late 2025, new ownership could prioritise fan-favourite content like the SnyderVerse to boost streaming engagement and differentiate itself from the current DCEU. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, right? So, Netflix at the moment, they've employed a load of financial analysts to kind of look into Warner Bros. Discovery's financials before they put in a bid for Warner Bros. So if Netflix got a hold of Warner Bros. And purchased them, could you imagine if they announced Justice League 2 and 3 are coming to Netflix? Could you imagine the amount of engagement Netflix would get, the boost in subscribers, the boost to their platform would be off the chain, the internet would melt, Netflix would be more popular than it's ever been. So the upwards, the upwards positivity that Netflix or Paramount would get from reinstating Zack Snyder's Justice League cannot be overstated, man. Like, people would rush to the streaming service, whichever streaming service gets it. But like, man, like, could you think of anything bigger than, kind of having Zack Snyder coming back for Justice League, having it on your streaming service, and the amount of subscribers you would get? Whew! Man, that would be a good day at the office, I tell you. So that's our first positive reason as to why the SnyderVerse might happen. Okay, moving on to our second point here. Proving commercial viability. Snyder's Justice League and related films have generated lasting merchandise, Lego sets, cultural references years later, indicating untapped revenue potential for sequels or spin-offs. I mean, we're talking about the SnyderVerse years after it ended. We're still campaigning, we're still talking about it, we're still watching the films, they're still selling merchandise. Just the other day, when we were talking about this SnyderVerse news, we were looking on X, and they've just sold brand new Hot Toys. They're not Hot Toys, but it's a company that sells like statues that looks like Hot Toys. I can't remember the exact name of the company, but they were selling Ben Affleck Batman statues and Ben Affleck Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne statues for over $3,000 each, and they sold out instantly like that. People's interest in the Snyderverse has never waned. It's always been there. It will always be there. It's the definitive generational look at these characters, and it still overshadows the brand new DCU, and they're never going to get out from underneath Zack Snyder's shadow of what he did with these characters. And the proving commercial viability here, there's a lot of untapped revenue potential. People will flood to streaming services. They will pay for movie tickets to watch Snyderverse content. And, you know, it's just a cash cow. So bringing it back absolutely makes sense. So that was our second point there as to why the Snyderverse could be restored. So moving on to point number 3, multiverse narrative flexibility. DC's embrace of multiverse storytelling, as seen in recent projects, allows for a Snyderverse branch without disrupting James Gunn's main DCU, enabling coexistence and targeted fan service. So there's multiple ways you can get around this. I know that in the negative section we talked about it would be bad for business and it would be bad for the fan service to have multiple DC universes running at the same time. It wouldn't be good, but there are ways we can get around that if we look at the positive side of that argument. So the fact that DC storytelling lends to multiverse narratives is absolutely true. In the comics, multiverse is everywhere. And I mean, it lends to the storytelling. A lot of the stories, the best stories, are all about multiverse and having multiple versions of the characters. And the way that you could separate out these different universes, if you go to watch a DC film, at the beginning, the opening credits or the opening logo have different logos for different universes. So you know that when you go to watch a certain DC movie, you know which universe it belongs to. It's an easy way to separate the movies. Or you could purely keep James Gunn's DCU as theatrical, and then keep Zack Snyder's Snyderverse as purely a streaming exclusive, like on Netflix. So you could separate one from having streaming, which is Zack Snyder and his DC universe on Netflix. Then you could separate that where you have James Gunn's DCU as purely theatrical. So that's an easy way to separate out the universes as well, without people getting confused. But yeah, DC definitely lends to multiverse storytelling, and that's one of its strengths. Okay, moving on to number 4. Established talent availability. Key actors like Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot have expressed interest in returning. And Zack Snyder's prior Netflix collaboration positioned him well for a potential buyout scenario where his vision aligns with the platform's content strategy. Yeah, I mean, basically the content strategy on Netflix, get as many subscribers as you possibly can, get them paying for the advertising tier. That's where Netflix make most of their money, right? Is when you sign up for the advertising tier. When you sign up for the higher tier where there's no advertising, they don't make as much money from you. They want you on the advert tier so they can show you adverts and they make more money from you. I mean, having the Snyderverse restored on Netflix, could you imagine the amount of subscribers they're going to get? The amount of advertising revenue they would get? It would be explosive. But anyway, going back to this, key actors like Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot have expressed interest in returning. So they have done several interviews over the years since the Snyderverse ceased to exist, and some of them have talked about their interest in potentially coming back. But it's hard to separate whether they're just being kind of kind to the audience and saying, yeah, I'd probably come back, but did they actually mean it? Did they not mean it? We don't know. But actors like Henry Cavill, Henry Cavill has a Warhammer 40k universe he's building out at Amazon, so his next few years are going to be super busy. I don't think he's going to have time to come back to be Superman, even if he wanted to. Ben Affleck, he's had, alcohol troubles and substance troubles and everything, and he talked about how his time with the Batman character was really struggling for him. Would he actually come back? But I think Gal Gadot is most likely the character who would come back, the actress who would come back. But even though this is in the positive, would they actually come back? I kind of leave that to you guys. So even though it's positive, it's kind of in the middle somewhere. I wouldn't say this is a negative point. It's not really a positive point, because even though they've expressed interest in returning, would they actually? That's up for debate. That's up for you to make your own mind up about. Okay, moving on to our 5th and final positive point as to why the Snyderverse may come back. Persistent and vocal fan campaigns. The hashtag Restore the Snyderverse movement continues to trend on social media, with recent Netflix promotions of Henry Cavill's Superman reigniting calls for revival, demonstrating sustained demand that could influence decisions under new leadership. Yeah, I mean, so if you're a Netflix executive, if you're a Paramount executive, and you're seeing Restore the Snyderverse everywhere that you look online. And you've all of a sudden got control of DC and everything to do with DC. You're telling me that the thought wouldn't cross your mind about restoring the Snyderverse or trying to restore it to some degree, even if we don't get Justice League Part 2 and 3. Say, for instance, only Gal Gadot wants to come back. Do a series of Wonder Woman films. And then you could have Ben Affleck's Batman. But even if Ben Affleck doesn't want to come back, put someone else in the costume and just say it's the same Batman. You know, kind of make him look like Ben Affleck in a way, I guess. You could have Ben Affleck's Batman, you know, show up in a Gal Gadot movie, Wonder Woman movie, and then you don't have to show his face because he's wearing the Batman costume. So, but there's so many ways around it that you could do it. But yeah, persistent and vocal fan campaigns. It goes to show the sustained interest in the Snyderverse after all these years. There's still a loud bunch of people who want this, who would pay for it. The commercial viability, the campaign, people are just interested. And like I say, it's the generational definement of these characters that overshadows James Gunn's DCU, and it will continue to overshadow it because these characters were so well cast, they were so powerful on screen, and people just want it. And are Netflix going to look at it and restore it? Are Paramount, if they take over, are they going to, are they going to restore it? We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But there's 5 reasons why it won't be restored and 5 reasons why it will be restored. If there's anything that you want to add to the positive or negative section of this video, do jump down in the comment section and let me know. If you have any other reasons why you think it won't be restored or why you think it will be restored, add those below in the comment section. Would love to hear your insights here, guys. But yeah, that's kind of breaking down both sides of the issue, kind of being, trying to be objective about what's going on here. As hyped as I am, we do need to be objective about this and kind of look at both sides of this issue, rather than just, kind of focusing on, it's going to be restored, it's going to be restored, it's going to be restored. Yeah, that's great. I completely love people's optimism, I really do. But we need to look at the reasons why it won't be restored as well, if we're going to be balanced about this situation. But there we go, guys. So, like I say, jump in the comment section if you have anything to add to either side of the issue. Would love to hear what you have to say. As always, thanks so much for checking out this content, guys. It's great to have you here. Make sure you become a subscriber if you haven't done so far. It supports the content, and I would really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you in the next video.